When I started drinking cold water to help me lose weight, my
Join UF Hall of Famer and 14-year NFL vet Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Good morning. It's a live edition of PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the International Diamond Center Studios with locations across the state of Florida and right here in Celebration Point in the heart of Gator Nation. Got a lot to talk about today. We're going to bring in Brent Beaird, our college football analyst and Heisman Trophy voter, here in just a second. Meantime, Comfort Temp Heating and Air is your #1 local HVAC company, offering $1,000 off new installation units and 10% off any additional services through July. Visit them at comforttemp.com. Let's go to the Tag Him Our Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. And it's our man, Brent Beaird, who is a happy camper because he is going to the SEC Media Days that start on Monday. What's happening, Brent?
Really hard to believe we're at that point in the season, isn't it, Shane? That's kind of the unofficial kickoff. In Atlanta, starts Monday and will go through Thursday morning. So we will see if we get any news that comes out of it. Greg Sankey has his opening address on Monday, so that we may hear a little bit, and hopefully they're making some progress. But it's just around the corner.
Brent, what day are the Gators going? I don't even know.
I've got to look that up. Good. I think I could guess, but I'm not going to do that. So I'll come up with that during over the next few minutes. How about that?
Andy says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mallow Law, Cags with the tape measure home run last night. Yeah, he hit a bomb. Need to start hitting the ball though. I think he's still batting like 145 somewhere around there, but hopefully he'll heat up here. All right, as we talked about, the SEC Media Days are cranking up. I guess the big talk that we're going to hear from Greg Sankey is extended playoffs or the expansion, and will the SEC go to 9 games?
Those will be some of the big topics that folks are going to be looking at. And I don't know if he's going to have really anything new. Frankly, by the way, Billy Napier is on Wednesday. I've got that schedule now. I'll go over it in a few minutes. But in other words, they haven't taken a vote this year yet. I think the last vote they actually took was 2023, and at that point they wanted to stay at 8. But if they're going to 9, they need to do something about it soon. Again, the deadline for the format overall, do they stay at 12 or go to 16, is December the 1st. But they really need to get the SEC 8 or 9 situation straightened out before the season begins, so they can get that schedule done if they want to go to 9 as soon as next year.
Yeah. It's interesting because every time I look on Twitter or I'm out and about, there's talk about Hugh Freeze, right?
Yes.
You always see this stuff about Hugh Freeze doesn't care about recruiting. All he cares about is playing golf. Which I just laugh at because I'm like, a guy can go play golf and still recruit. They just aren't very good right now. I think they're going to be much better this year. Your thoughts on what's going on in Auburn?
Hugh Freeze is not the only SEC coach who slips away and plays 9 holes.
Or goes fishing.
Yeah, right, or something like that. But the reality is Auburn is number 79 right now in recruiting, and that's gotten a lot of people's attention. The other thing that's gotten their attention And Shane, this is hard to believe, but Auburn has not had a winning season since 2020.
Yeah.
They were 6-4 then. The last few years, 6-6, 5-7, 6-7, and 5-7. So that's what people are upset about a whole lot more than him going to play golf.
Yeah, exactly. But it's amazing to me how people get all upset at these coaches when they do, or they take a vacation with their family or whatever. Look, they're very organized at what they do in their profession, and they have
Yes.
certain times when they do go play golf, they do go vacation, they do go play or do go fishing, hunting, whatever it may be. Um, I mean, they're going to have the media predictions and all that stuff next week. It's pretty safe to say people are going to predict Texas and Georgia to play in Atlanta.
Well, possibly. It's either going to be, I think it's going to be Texas. Georgia's a possibility because of the talent. Now, the other team that could be in there may be LSU because they did so well in the portal. LSU was the number one team in the nation in the portal with the guys they got. So that is your logic. Now, the media has seldom lately predicted the winner of the SEC, and I don't know if this year will be any different. But that's probably when we get the results back on Friday after the meetings. It will probably say Texas for sure, and then either, I'm guessing, Georgia or LSU to play them.
Yeah. Joseph says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Melon Law, Billy apparently doesn't do anything but football, and he hasn't been very good at that either. So that's kind of funny, but not really. All right, real quick, Brent. When are they supposed to vote on the expansion and what kind of format they're going to do? You know, I'm a big proponent of the 5+11. What is the latest on that? When are they going to make a final decision?
Well, the deadline is December the 1st.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And they have got to get that straight probably sooner than that. If you break this down, where this is, the Big Ten wants the 4-4-2-2 format, which is the Big Ten and the SEC getting a guaranteed 4 teams. The SEC coaches are more on the side of the 5-11, which is 5 conference winners plus 11 at large. Now, there's some benefits to both of them, frankly. Now, Sankey has not come out and said, unless he does in Atlanta, which side he is on. So that's a little bit up in the air. But to your point, that there's just simply got to be some decisions made. The thing that's really concerning now, I'm sure they'll do something with Zoom, but they're not scheduled to meet, Shane, believe it or not, face to face, the commissioners, until like September 24th. So if you want to get something done, you need to meet in person more than that. So that's kind of where we are. At both the big conferences wanting 2 different things, and hopefully they come up with some kind of compromise.
Yeah, I'm not a proponent of the 4 SEC teams and the 4 Big Ten teams. I just don't think that's right. Because you could easily have a down year in your conference and somebody that's not worthy as that 4th team or 3rd team automatically get into the playoffs.
Sure.
I don't like that. I think you go with the 5 conference champs and then you take the best 11 from there. Text on the Titan our text line says, could you ask Brent what has been the greatest college football game he's ever attended or viewed on TV?
Oh my, that's a great question. That would probably take an hour. Frankly, I was a young kid at that point, probably 13 years old or so. But the 1970. I was at the 1973 Alabama Notre Dame game, where Notre Dame won. It was the 24-23. Tom Clements threw an amazing pass on 3rd and long that basically sealed the deal. But that was a national championship game, to say the least. One of the games I'll never forget was Kerwin Bell scoring late to beat Auburn in the Swamp when Auburn had Bo Jackson. Shane, you may remember that one too. But I mean, there have been so many incredible games, to say the least. I mean, it's a great question. It really is, and that would be a fun topic sometime in the summer.
A lot of people consider that, who was it that Texas, Vince Young was the quarterback? Was it USC they beat for the national title?
They beat USC with Vince Young going into the corner of the end zone.
Yeah.
That's right.
A lot of people think that's one of the greatest college football games of all time. So, good question for sure. All right, Brent, tell us, I saw the list of the fellows that are going to the SEC Media Days from each team. Outside of the quarterbacks, I ain't heard of a lot of these guys.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And there are a lot of teams that did not take a quarterback, which is kind of unusual. Alabama didn't take a quarterback. And you have got
Kentucky doesn't have a quarterback because they don't ever have a quarterback.
No, and their quarterbacks, Calzada, who's been there now 7 years, he was with Texas A&M. Missouri's not taking a quarterback. Tennessee has not taken a quarterback for the first time in memory. Now, obviously, Arch Manning is going for Texas. Diego Pavia will be there for Vanderbilt, but that'll be interesting to see what he does. A&M does not taking a quarterback either. I thought what was interesting, and you can comment on this, Shane, Austin Simmons, who is only a sophomore, is going for Ole Miss. Now, Simmons is a real talent. Lane loves him. But I just thought that was interesting because a lot of coaches wouldn't have done that and taken a guy who is your first-year starter. But I give Lane credit for that. And also, Shane, can you argue that even though you're a new quarterback, you got to get in front of the media at some point, and that's going to be one of your better opportunities because I'm telling you, there'll be 1,000 members of the media, and every corner Austin Simmons turns, there's going to be somebody who wants 5 minutes of his time.
Yeah, for sure. And people may not know this, but Austin Simmons has already graduated from Ole Miss.
Well, really?
He's a graduate. Yeah, he graduated in like a year.
Yeah.
He's an extremely bright young fellow, but I saw this past summer or this past spring, he's already a graduate. So,
well, they've got him listed as a sophomore for some reason. So
because he had so many college credits coming in and how many hours he took, but he already graduated. So
okay,
I could be wrong, but I swear I'd put a lot of money on it that I saw that he was a graduate. Franklin question on YouTube brought to you by Quality Plumbing says, why take Caleb Banks over Tyreek Sapp? I don't know the answer to that. It could be that Caleb Banks is better with the media than Tyreek Sapp. Could be a lot of things that factor into that.
Well, a lot of times these guys, some of these guys who go, you may not know about, as far as fans in general, but it's kind of a reward. And some of these coaching staff that they'll vote on the players who go, and that they'll take somebody who's like been he's been there 4 years, he's never had any trouble, he's a good teammate, et cetera, et cetera. So sometimes, Shane, it's because they want to reward these players, and to your point, they're also good with the media.
Yep, for sure. Text on the Titan Mar text line from Bruce in Fort Myers says, You guys keep saying the UF win total is in 2025, 6.5. Everywhere I look, it's 7.5. Well, it is at 6.5 at a couple places, but it may have moved to 7.5. Talk about the win totals you got there, Brent.
Yeah, the one we got this week from Circus Sports was 7.5 for the Gators. Now you've got three teams at 9.5: Alabama, Georgia, and Texas. LSU is at 8.5. Ole Miss is 8.5, and so is Tennessee. And Auburn is 8. I'm not sure about Auburn and Tennessee winning 8 games this year. That'll be a challenge. A&M is 8. And I can tell you right now, the last thing these A&M fans want, Shane, is another 8-4, right? And they had enough of that. South Carolina 7.5, Missouri, Oklahoma 7, and that will be a 1-game improvement for Oklahoma. Vandy 5.5, Arkansas 5, Mississippi State unfortunately at 3.5. So that's what we've got lately for the SEC. I'll be interested to see what that looks like, say 2 weeks into fall practice, if some of these guys get hurt.
Austin Simmons, the Ole Miss quarterback, has already graduated from the University of Mississippi, graduated in May of 2025 at the age of 19 with a bachelor's degree. He is now pursuing a master's degree in sports management with a business minor.
Well, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
I tell you what, Shane, if he can do that, I think he can read defenses too, right?
Well, you would hope. You would hope. Anything jump out to you at the ACC win totals, Brent?
Well, I think, and we'll go over this real quick. This is no surprise. Clemson's at 10. So is Notre Dame. They include Notre Dame in there too. Miami is at 9. That will be interesting. They'll be on the cusp of the playoff then if that happens. Louisville 8.5. Southern Miss. SMU at 8.5. Georgia Tech 7.5. That would mean a strong year for them. Here's Florida State at 7. Now their fans won't be happy with that, but that will still be better than 2 and 10. UNC's at 7. Duke's at 6.5. Pitt 6 for Virginia. NC State, Virginia Tech, Boston College at 5. Syracuse and Wake Forest at 4.5 too. So that's some of the ACC teams with that. So no, but Shane, no surprise about Clemson. Everybody is high on Clemson this year.
Yeah. The Big Ten win totals, you can briefly go through those. The one that stands out to me is USC at 7.5.
Yeah, it really is. Boy, that at some point, USC's just got to be better. And they're not there right now. Now, Ohio State, Oregon, and Penn State, all at 10.5. Indiana at 8.5. Michigan at 8.5. Illinois, Iowa, Nebraska, USC, Washington, all at 7.5. Minnesota's at 6.5. Michigan State at 5.5. Their fans will not be happy with that. UCLA at 5.5. That's not very good. Luke Fickell, Wisconsin at 5.5. That'd be a difficult year for them. Maryland 4.5. Northwestern 4. So Shane, again, you see a top-heavy Big Ten, right?
Yeah, there's no question. Brent, explain to us about these exit fees in the ACC year by year.
Yeah, Brett McMurphy had this the other day. We'll make this a little more and kind of try to decipher it right now. From 25 to 26, if an ACC team wanted to leave, it would cost them $165 million to do it. Now, if you wait, okay, the new contracts are going to be from 26 to 31. That's going to be all the TV contracts and all this stuff that is that's coming due and going to be renewed. Now, here's what's interesting. In 2030 through 2031, The exit fee is $75 million. So in other words, right now, the way it's constructed, if you're an ACC team and you wanted to leave, you could do that in 5 years because that's when the next contract runs out. And if you left now, it'd be $165 million. If you wait till 2030, it's $75 million. So that'd be a substantial savings.
Yes, for sure. The Pouncey twins, Mike and Marquise, invite you to try the mango martinis at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, handcrafted with their J.F. Hayden liqueurs. Try those flavors or find your favorite at shopjfhaydens.com. Joseph asked on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law, he says, all the love for South Carolina is mind-boggling. Do y'all really think their QB is that good? Supposed to be the next Cam Newton? I don't know about all that. Look, I think South Carolina had a phenomenal year last year. Lenore Sellers, I've said it many times on this program, he reminds me of Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
They're both good runners. They both have powerful, they're big as crap. He may be bigger than Anthony, quite honestly. Strong arms, but it's one of those you get blown away by a couple of plays, and then there's 5 or 7, 6, 7 plays. You go, how in the world did he miss those throws?
Yeah.
So I think he's a decent college quarterback. I don't think he's great personally. Maybe he'll prove me wrong.
And Shane, he is 6'3", 240.
Yeah.
Is how big that he is. They need more talent on the outside. Nick Harbor's pretty good at wide receiver. They're trying to get Rasul Faison, their running back, eligible from the NCAA. And that's something they're trying to, by the way, Faison's 25 years old. I think their line's okay. Dylan Stewart at defensive end is one of their better players by far. But I'm with you, Shane. I don't think they're a playoff team. They are better. Give them credit for that. They start with Virginia Tech and Atlanta, and then they've got Vandy, Missouri, Kentucky, LSU, Oklahoma, and Alabama, and Ole Miss. So about the middle of that schedule, LSU, Oklahoma, Alabama, and Ole Miss, that's when they're going to be tested.
Yeah. Looking at the Heisman Trophy odds here, Brent, you're a Heisman Trophy voter. Anything stand out to you or surprise you?
Still a bunch of quarterbacks. Arch Manning, number 1. Garrett Nussmeier, 2. Kate Klubnik, number 3. Alar from Penn State, who I don't think should be that high. The Smith kid, the wide receiver from Iowa State, is
He's
terrific.
the best player in that whole group.
He very well may be.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
He's the best player in America.
Yeah, DJ Lagway is 17-1. Lenore Sellers, who we just talked about, is 19-1. Carson Beck's 25-1. So if that will give folks a little bit of indication of where it is, again, your top 4, Manning, Nussmeier, Klubnik, and Alar from Penn State.
Yeah, I think Cade Klubnik's going to have a big year. I think Nussmeier will have a big year, probably putting up number-wise. A lot of people are talking about they don't see it in Arch here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Metal Law. I think he's going to be a really good player. The times that I've seen him play when Quinn Ewers was hurt, I think he's very good.
Well, see, that's the thing with Manning is it's a small sample size. They were determined they were going to play Quinn Ewers last year, and this rhetoric about, well, he couldn't beat Ewers out. That's not the point here. They knew what they were going to do and where they were going with that. So it's his turn now. But to Shane's point, when Manning has gotten in, he's looked solid.
Yeah, and like I said, he's playing in probably the best offense in America, the best play caller for Sarkisian, who's going to utilize. He's a really good athlete. He can run the football. He can throw it. I think he's more talented than his 2 uncles. I'll leave it at that.
And that's a mouthful.
Yeah. Now, he's got to go play, but from a talent standpoint, it's not even close. Not even close. All right, Brent, what's going on with the Alabama Crimson Tide?
We'll go through some of the schools. Alabama's going to be a real veteran team this year. only 2 of 22 projected starters will not be draft eligible. And those 2 are Ryan Williams, the wide receiver, and Xavier Brown in the Alabama secondary. Alabama's going to recognize 3 national championship teams this year: the 75 team that won the SEC, and the 2015 and 1965 national championship team. Bama has just been on an unbelievable roll, excuse the pun, in recruiting. They have 5 5-stars, and the nearest school, at least it was the first of the week, was 2. So they have done a great job with that staff, and they're still, Shane, they're still having Nick Saban talk to some of their recruits.
Yeah, for sure. I don't blame him. I would too. He still has an office there, I believe.
He does.
Baron 71 on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, says people hate on Arch Manning, but also people want to tell us how Emory Jones was going to be a great quarterback because he could run. Yeah, but the difference is let's compare DJ and Emory Jones. DJ's a 1,000 times better thrower than Emory
Yeah.
Jones ever was.
No.
Too many people get enamored when these kids are highly recruited because they're dual threats. I don't care if you run the ball like Herschel Walker. It ain't gonna matter if you can't complete any passes.
That's right.
That's what the quarterback position, so if you can complete passes and then run, okay, now you got something. And I think DJ, we all know, can complete passes and he can run when he needs to run. I think Arch Manning can complete passes. He can run when he wants to run. There's no comparison in my mind between Emory Jones to Arch Manning or DJ Lagway. It's not even a discussion. Not even a discussion. All right, Auburn, we touched on Auburn a little bit. We know they've added a lot of players. They're actually taking Jackson Arnold, the quarterback transfer, to media days. I think he's going to make them a better team, I believe.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. And they've got tremendous receivers. The Coleman kid, and the Singletary kid from Georgia Tech. Now they did have a player that was kicked off the team, DJ Barber, who is a redshirt freshman linebacker, got in trouble at a traffic violation. They found marijuana and all kinds of stuff with him, including a handgun. So our understanding is he has been kicked off the team. So he is gone. That will certainly open up another scholarship. Jacoby Matthews from A&M is expected to transfer to Auburn too. So kind of a mixed bag for the Tigers right now.
Yep, for sure. The Mighty Gators got a big pickup recruiting wise for next year.
Yeah, Malik Morris of Lakeland, 4-star recruit, top linebacker, 6'1", 250. That's a big kid from Lakeland, choosing Florida over Miami and Texas A&M. Shane's going over the Gator representatives at media days. Jake Slaughter. Listen, I still think Florida's offensive line has not gotten the credit they deserve as far as being one of the better offensive lines that's coming back. Caleb Banks, obviously, 29 quarterback pressure. So good representatives of media days.
Yeah, for sure. The Georgia Bulldogs, Brent, I know they're highly regarded and they're going to be damn good, but it's like they're missing a lot of star power, I guess, names that you're used to. We know that roster is loaded with talent.
Well, they are, no question about that. But to your point, this team that's got to improve. They need depth at running back. Nate Frazier's really good. They need their wide receivers to play better. Zachariah Branch, they're hoping will be a really good player from USC. And the receivers dropped 30 passes last year. One of the things, and ESPN is doing a thing, one of these little deals you do during this time of year, the biggest area of concern for each top 25 team. And for Georgia, it's the pass rush. The pass rush is not as good as it has been. So that's one thing they've got to look at. And the offensive line had so many injuries last year that was difficult for them too. But Georgia, Shane, in September playing Tennessee and Alabama. So we'll know quickly how good the Dogs are in the month of September.
Yep, LSU, we've talked a lot about them, a lot of transfers. I think Garrett Nussmeier throws the ball as well as anybody in America. Boy, what a big game against Clemson, Brent.
It's humongous. LSU has lost 4 straight opening games. Now, they played quality opponents, but losing that many opening games is difficult for them. And Clemson really hadn't done much better. So that is look, Texas and Ohio State will get all the publicity, but Shane, I'm with you. That LSU Clemson game, frankly, is just as good and just as meaningful a game.
There's no question about that. Joseph wanted to know what's up with Tennessee's QB position. It's going to be the kid that transferred from App State from UCLA. I spoke to a buddy of mine that played at Tennessee, and he says they're very high on him. They don't think they're going to miss a beat. And I haven't even watched the kid play at Tennessee, and I'm going to agree with him because I didn't think Nico was worth a damn.
He really wasn't, or at least he's not right now in his career. Look, this Aguilar kid who comes over from App State, I mean, Shane, he had 2 really good years at App State. I mean, the numbers are impressive. I mean, he threw for like, off the top of my head, like 3,000 yards or more at App State. So the guy knows how to do something. But again, the problem at Tennessee is Dylan Sampson went to the NFL, and the Pierce kid went to the NFL on the defensive line. So their running backs and the defensive line is why Tennessee made the playoffs last year, and they've lost all those guys. So, Shane, it's possible Tennessee takes a step back this year.
Yeah. Texas A&M, obviously the Gators go there after they play Texas. Tough place to play. Had trouble with A&M last year. Does not mean that has no bearing on the game this year. Any news coming out of College Station?
Well, the main thing they're going to work on is going to be the defense. Mike Elko was just infuriated at the end of the year. I mean, he even came out in his press conference and said, we're so bad we can't stop anybody. So that's one thing they're going to be working on. Reed Adams, their right guard, linebacker Torian York, and cornerback Will Lee are representing A&M at media days. It's unusual for A&M not to have a quarterback there. And this is a stat that what we saw yesterday, and Shane, this tells you a lot. A&M has lost at least 4 games in 24 of their last 26 seasons. And the win total this year is 8.5, which is basically the same thing. So with all that money and all those facilities and all that goes with it, you can understand the frustration for these A&M fans who are tired of being 8-4 every year.
And it doesn't help that Texas has been in the 14 playoff the last 2 years.
No.
Speaking of the Longhorns, I'm not sure, I can't remember how many starters they had coming back from last year's team, but we all know about Arch Manning. But here's the thing about Texas, which impressed me seeing them in person last year. They had so much damn team speed, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, look, they're an amazing team. They have 3 coming back on offense and 5 coming back on defense. Offensively, they have very few coming back. Their right guard, DJ Campbell, is coming back. Their running backs are really good. This Quinn Weisner and C.J. Baxter, who was out, he got a knee injury before even the season began. And they've got some good wide receivers, Emmett Mosley and Ryan Wingo. Where they really are good is on their defensive line. I'm curious what you thought about that group. Ethan Burke, Cole Brevard, Morard Watson, their edge, and Colin Simmons got good linebackers. To your point, Shane, it is, we talk about Georgia being talented. Look, Texas is, as far as pure talent on the hoof, Texas is as talented as anybody in the league.
I agree. I think they got probably the best roster in the league now. So it's going to be interesting. You know, a lot of people keep overlooking who they open up the season with.
Yeah.
In the horseshoe against Ohio State.
That's right.
So that ain't going to be easy at all. But here's the thing: is even if they were to lose that game, everything's in front of them, right? Because
sure it is.
It's all SEC
Oh yeah.
play. Same thing for Ohio State. But I like the Longhorns due to well, I mean, they got Jeremiah Smith. I don't know who's going to be. I think it's the old Alabama quarterback's scheduled to start for them, right? At Ohio State.
Julian Sain, who comes from California, was in Alabama. So yeah, that's probably who it's going to be. But look, this is a game. To your point, Shane, we may have Texas 1 and Ohio State 2 in the first AP poll.
Correct. Florida Victorious, proud NIL partner of the Florida Gators, joined today to help make Florida victorious. A few more minutes with Brent Beaird on the Titan Tomorrow hotline. Brent, let's touch on the semis. They're talking a lot of trash against your team.
Yeah, they really are. Well, at least their quarterback, Costin, he is talking a lot of trash. There'll be a lot of people. I'm sure that will make the bulletin board at Alabama. They did get a big pickup in recruiting. Chauncey Kennan, who is from Sarasota Booker, he's a 5-star cornerback, is committed to Florida State, 6'1", 175. The people really are impressed with him. Georgia, Miami, Florida, Michigan, Oregon, Ohio State listed with him too. So, but a lot of new guys, a lot of new coaches at Florida State. This is a big year for Mike Norvell, to say the least.
Yeah. The Miami Hurricanes, where the Gators go there, I think week 4. Brent, what's the latest on Carson Beck? You know, we've had people talking all summer long about DJ Lagway not being able to throw, you know, their pitch count. He has a shoulder issue. They're going to monitor it and see what happens. But we all know that Carson Beck tore his elbow up, I think it was his elbow, in the SEC championship game. Do we know if he's throwing yet or not?
Yeah, he really started throwing. Mario Cristobal mentioned this. I think it was like a week or two after the spring, well, not the spring game, but after the spring ended.
Okay.
So yeah, he is throwing. But again, I mean, and hopefully he'll be in full rehab by the time fall camp starts. Miami's recruiting well. They've got a lot of big offensive linemen. My star is their last offensive lineman, 6'7", 325. I mean, that's Tony Baselli big. Frankly, they've got some 6'6" guys. So they're going all out to get a lot. Their average size of the offensive linemen committed to the program is 6'5", 311. So that's interesting. Shane, I've got a nugget here, if I may. I wanted your opinion on Centenary. They have a year-old football program. They have just hired. I got this from the Shreveport Journal. 73-year-old Hal Mummy.
Oh, really?
Yes. How about that? 49-year coaching career. Obviously was at Kentucky. He's been at some different places, known for the air raid. Mummy's record as a college coach, 142 wins, 152 losses. So I didn't know how well you knew Hal, but I figured you'd be interested to know where he is now.
Well, I don't know him well. I mean, I've met him several times. Where is this college located?
I'll be honest with you. I know it's a small college. I'd have to look that up. I want to say Kentucky or Ohio, but I may be way off on that one.
You know, I always said that Kentucky, you knew they were never going to win the SEC back when Hal Mummy was there, but they caused problems for everybody because you knew they could score. And that's why I never understood why, like Vanderbilt, who had trouble majority of the time playing against the other SEC teams, why they didn't install the wishbone or something that made them different. And I thought when
Yeah,
Home Mummy was at Kentucky, it made Kentucky football somewhat relevant because they were hard to stop at times.
yeah. But by the way, Centenary's in Shreveport. That would answer that question since it's from the Shreveport Journal.
Yeah, they may be the only people that have covered that.
Well, and look, I remember, and you probably do too, when Mummy was coach, they beat Alabama and Mike Dubose in Lexington. I believe that game was actually in overtime. But Mummy, I mean, Shane, how many coaches do you know who's been in it 49 years?
He's one of those guys that just can't get away from it.
That's right. Oh, yeah.
Brent, before we get you out here, a text on the Titan MR text line from George. He says, Brent, if you were allowed at SEC Media Days to have a one-on-one 20-minute conversation or interview with one of the SEC head coaches, who would you choose?
Oh, that's a tremendous question. I may say Shane mentioned Sarkisian a few minutes ago. It may be him. Sarkisian to me is an interesting guy. He's been in the NFL. He's had failures. He's had a drinking problem that he now is. He got to his credit, he got treatment for it, and is really Sarkisian is a great story. And as Shane said, I don't know if he gets credit for this, is easily one of the most innovative offensive guys in the nation. Shane, is that fair?
Yeah, he ran a play against us last year. I'd never seen it before. I wish I could pull it up.
Really?
I'm going to find it. It was one of the greatest plays I've ever seen, and it was awesome. You know what would be great? If you could do one of those, quote, you media guys always say, off the record.
Yeah.
If you could take Sark, Kirby, and Lane in one of the ballrooms or in a room at the College Football Hall of Fame and say, this is off the record, and just talk about their time, they have a text chain that those three guys are always on. They're always talking about Saban and what he did.
Oh, yeah. Just the stories that we'll probably never hear would be tremendous. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. That would be hysterical, frankly.
Yeah, because what brought that up is I was trying to clean up my phone yesterday, Brent, because I have way too many voicemails from
I get it.
5, 6, 7 years ago. I have 32 voicemails from the head ball coach that I kept on my phone because they are classic.
I'm sure they are.
I may have to play them on the show one day, but they're so good. I was dying laughing.
I bet you were.
Brent,
yeah.
Good stuff as always. Safe travels to Atlanta, and we'll get you on the program later in the week next week because I know you're going to be busy. Those are some long days for 4 days in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Have a good trip.
Yeah. Thank you, brother. Always enjoy it. Take care.
That's Brent Beaird, our college football analyst and Heisman Trophy voter, joining us on the Titan MR hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. Take a quick time out, come back and get to more of these texts and questions and comments. You're watching and listening to PodUp and Matthews in the Morning from the International Diamond Center Studios. We'll be right back.
Our premium sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union,
International Diamond Center,
Meldon Law, QC Kinetics, UF Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute, JF Hayden Craft Liqueurs, Florida Cracker Kitchen, Los Linderos Tequila. Gridiron sponsors are Baker Sporting Goods, Comfort Temp, Electronics World, Florida Victorious, Gallo Car Wash, Miapa Latin Cafe, Peachland Dental, Quality Plumbing, Ruse Ogre State Farm, Silverback Concrete, 84 Lumber, Big Mills Cheesesteak, Celebrate Primary Care, Dowling Sign, Gator Bait Media, Gator Dominoes, Ironwood Golf Course, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, UF Bookstores, Nest and Wow, MG&A Wealth Management. Watch and listen to us live on Facebook and YouTube. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple or Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. To become a sponsor, call my man Freddie at 352-284-3733.
I'm tired of you living in pain, and I want you to get real lasting relief from chronic pain in your knees, back, shoulders, and hips. QC Kinetics can get you moving again with cutting-edge regenerative treatments with no drugs, no downtime, and no surgery. Stop putting it off. Call now and schedule your free consultation. Call QC Kinetics now in Gainesville, Ocala, and the Villages. 352-400-4550. 352-400-4550.
Naysayers, setbacks, injuries. Life throws a lot of hurdles your way. The key is just keep jumping them.
Oh, all the way from the North Pole. It's me, Santa Claus. Oh, I'm here with my friend Steve Spurrier for an amazing Christmas in July offer.
Spurrier's Gridiron gift cards are on sale for 20% off.
Coach, how do they get them?
You can go to Spurriers.com and order a digital card or stop by my restaurant in Celebration Point and pick some up today.
Thanks for being my holiday helper in July, Coach. Hurry, this special Christmas in July offer is for this month only. Ho, ho, ho.
Welcome back to the International Diamond Center Studios. Gallo Car Wash is locally owned by UF alum and the only car wash that provides NIL opportunities to the Gator athletes. Become a member and see why the Gators hate love bugs. Again, I want to thank Brent Beaird for joining us. If you don't forget, the Genesis Scottish Open is already almost over for day one. Jake Knapp, Sepp Straka, and Nico Echevarria. Can't say his name. Anyway, they're all 6 under par. I have Ludwig Oberg. He's 3 under, tied for 7th. Scheffler is 3 under, tied for 7th as well. Braun71 says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing. So far, what I've heard about Beck in Miami is he has had his Lamborghini stolen, cheated on his girlfriend and got dumped, and only started throwing a football a month ago. All sizzle and no steak. And we'll see. People keep asking me in that 4-game stretch there after our first 2 games, I think we have to, it's imperative that we go 2-2. I think it's more important. I know we want to beat Miami. I think we're going to beat Miami. We need to beat LSU too, though. Really need to beat them. So anyway, we got a text here on Tightening More text line from Larry. Larry says, Shane, which throwing motion or release do you like better? DJ, Arch, or Garrett Nussmeier? Oh, man. Well, I do know that Arch and Garrett have a quicker release than DJ's gets kind of long at times because he drops it down. But there are different ways to deliver the baby, right? But I'd probably go with those other 2 guys over DJ's release. DJ's probably got the stronger arm of those 3. I think Garrett's very accurate, got great anticipation as well. I think the one quarterback people are going to be shocked with because you hadn't seen him play a lot, probably hadn't seen him play at all, is John Mateer from Oklahoma. Dan also knows Jane Bates left you a funny voicemail. Oh, he's a clown. He's a clown for sure. Hang on, there was a couple of Facebook things I wanted to get to. I got to pull those up on my phone though, because they go away on my computer. Stand by while I pull those up. Yeah, Coach Spurrier's messages are great though. I'll have to play some of them for y'all, the ones that I can play on air. Buck on Facebook Live brought to you by Melon Law says, QB, what was your welcome to the SEC moment? Well, I think game 2 of the Spurrier era in 1990, going to Tuscaloosa, Alabama. We didn't play great, but we found a way to win that game. It's actually, Coach Spurrier and I both agree on this. It's probably the most important game in Florida football history. was winning at Alabama in 1990. So I guess that would be it. Trey says Manning, Lagway, Jeremiah Smith, Ryan Williams. What a draft class that will be. Are they all? Yeah, I guess they're all the same age. Could be a doozy for sure. Buck says on YouTube, Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel. I'll go look up Mummy in his Iowa Wesleyan days. Yeah, he changed the game. That's when him and Mike Leach, which we've had Hal Mummy on this program, talk about how him and Leach just rented a car and drove to different camps, taking notes, and that's how they came up with the air raid. Got some really good stuff. Sometimes the air raid doesn't throw it down the field enough, though, for me. Drove me crazy watching some of Leach's games. Bruce Ogre State Farm Office is a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visitogreinsurance.com. Give them a call at 352-240-1779. This text on the Titan Mar text line from Jim says, did you see Kaggs' home run last night? Yes, I did see the highlight. It was a bomb. He hit it a very long ways. This Day in Sports brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Put some star power to work in your financial life. Campus USA Credit Union, they've been doing it for over 90 years. 1976 British Open at Royal Birkdale. American Johnny Miller wins his only Open championship, defeating Seve Ballesteros and Jack Nicklaus. It was Miller's second and last major title. That's brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. We'll have JC here tomorrow. Got a couple other people on hold to see if they can come on the program, some former players. As I told y'all many times, you never know if those jokers are going to show up or not. So anyway, that's going to do it for today's program. We'll talk about our Peachland Dental picks from Wednesday for the Scottish Open. I'm sure JC will have some Peachland Dental baseball picks for y'all as well. But have a great day, folks, and we will see you tomorrow. Take care.